So this series is called Make This, and if this is the first episode you're watching, you are in luck because this is episode 4 and you have 3 others that you can binge. What am I wearing? I don't even know. Like pink lemonade? Anymore, I just throw on like a pattern and a color and call it good. Hey guys, welcome to Make This episode number 4. Let's get making. Welcome to Make This episode number 4. If this is your first time here, my name is Cara, and I'm the creator of Never Skip Brunch. In today's episode, we are going to make a fun and colorful wall hanging that's got kind of a macrame vibe, but it's really easy. There's no high-level braiding required. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that red subscribe button below so you can stay up to date with all of the next episodes from this series, as well as all my fun and fresh ideas. I'm just super obsessed with boho decor. I just love how like colorful and crazy it is, but how cozy it feels. There's so many like textiles and cozy things and things with texture that you can touch, and this wall hanging is definitely one of them. You just want to like go put your hands on it. Maybe that's just me, but that's also the way I shop, is like, let me touch it. And I also love how like bright colors do really well with that vibe, whereas other decor styles, it kind of looks too playful and like kind of like a hot mess, like a kindergarten classroom, which is not what you want your house to be. If you're trying to relax, you want to be able to have bold colors but have it look kind of like cozy and homey, and so that's why I love boho decor. If you've been watching the show, you're probably looking at this wall hanging and thinking, huh, that looks a lot like the fringe basket we made in episode 2. And you're correct. If you put that fringe basket on the floor and this wall hanging on your wall, now we have like a fringe design moment that's being carried through your whole space, which creates a more cohesive look, and it's gonna make your room look more polished and more professional. So if you like that fringe basket, then you're gonna wanna make this too. I'm so excited to get started with this project because it's honestly really easy, so it's not gonna take very much time, and in like this much time, you're gonna have a really cute piece to put on your wall. So pumped to make this with you. Let's first talk about what you will need. So first things first, you're gonna need some hoops. You can find them in like the macrame string section. I think a lot of people use these to make dream catchers or other different macrame pieces, but you basically need a larger one and then a smaller one. I'm showing you really tiny because it's easier to film me doing this size than like a huge one, but honestly, as long as you have this ratio, you can use any sizes of hoops. So let me show you closer. So if you want to make a way bigger version of this project, which you probably do, you can use hoops like this size. These are kind of hard to find in gold, so you might have to spray paint them. I got these from Hobby Lobby. They're like $3 and $4 each. Basically just make everything bigger if you want to go for this size. Okay, the next thing you're gonna need is a bunch of yarn. So I'll show you all the different kinds I got. Just like with our tassel basket, if you get a ton of different varieties and colors, it's gonna really give you that fun texture and keep the piece super interesting. If you want something a little bit more sleek and more muted, then go with neutrals and just buy a few types instead of all of the crazy different textures and colors. So I got some white yarn because every single pop of color needs to be anchored with a neutral. That's like color design 101. And then I have this white, it's just kind of a basic chunky yarn. And then this yarn is a lot smoother. It's still got a chunky texture, but it doesn't fray at the bottom. This is the same one I used for the fringe basket that we just did. And then I have this macrame cord. So that's a pretty good lineup of neutrals, a lot of different textures. Okay, then for my colors. So for this one, I'm doing kind of my classic pink and yellow combo. For yellow, I have this kind of, it's a little bit chunky. It's kind of like a mustard yellow. And then I have this super chunky version, which is pretty much the same color, just a little bit of a different texture. And then I have this coral color, which I used in the tassel and the pom-pom video, actually. Then I have this kind of like fuzzy, furry yarn in light pink. This is the one I'm always throwing at you in the intro. So that's it for yarn. You'll also need some embroidery thread if you want to make some tassels. So embroidery thread makes tassels that look like this guy. If you want like a chunkier tassel, you can hop over to the tassel video and I show you how to make these guys. Then you're gonna need some beads. So I picked up some wooden beads because they kind of have the boho vibe I'm going for. And then I also grabbed some black and white stripes because you know I love a pattern and I needed something a little more fun. But altogether you'll need about 6 beads total. If you're doing the bigger hoop that I showed you earlier, you're gonna want beads more this size. So like a really big chunky bead. And then finally, you need some scissors. Make sure they are fabric scissors or at least super sharp. Let's get started making this cute thing. So the first thing that you need to do is decide how long you want yours to be. What we have going on with these double rings is a layered situation. So the back layer is gonna be fringe that's a little more neutral and chunky and longer, and the front layer is gonna be kind of that pop of color. The back ring, let's start with that one. For this one, I'm gonna do my white yarn and then that chunky yellow yarn because I don't want it to be just white on the back and then colored on the front. I want it to look like they're supposed to go together, but create kind of a neutral base so the front colors really pop. So you just wanna get your yarn out and kind of measure and see how long you want it to be. So for this one, I want it to be about 18 inches long. So I cut my yarn to 20 inches when it's folded over. So this piece is 40 inches long in total. So I can fold it over and then I'm gonna have space at the bottom to trim it up. And then you can just start looping pieces on there. So really just gonna fold your yarn in half, put that loop on there and then bring the little tails through the loop and then tighten it up. You want your yarn to be on a third of the hoop. So the bottom third, if we were like to chop it here and here, your yarn is gonna go from here to here. You can just start adding pieces of yarn, alternating textures till you get kind of a third of it full. And the way I like to do it is just cut a bunch of pieces at once so they're all the same length and then just kind of loop them all on as I see fit. You can go super symmetrical and do like black and white stripes, or you can go really asymmetrical, which is what I'm gonna do because I apparently hate symmetry. Everything I make is like a little bit skewed to one side or the other. So yeah, I'm gonna get started cutting my yarn and then I will show you how I'm putting it on my back hoop. This is what it's starting to look like. The nice thing about this is you can just kind of like slide pieces and kind of experiment with your pattern. They're really easy to take off, so it's really easy to kind of play around with it and see what you like. So this is what my larger hoop looks like. I'm gonna go through and pull apart some of these fibers to add a little more texture, and then I'll get started on the smaller hoop. No, I'm fine. Just unraveling these just takes forever. No, I like swear it would be easier if I just rolled it up in the car window and like drove around town so it all unraveled so that I wouldn't have to do it. So here's my finished bigger hoop. You can see there's a ton of different texture. I unraveled some of the fibers, This thing's gonna get a haircut later, but for now I'm gonna start working on the smaller hoop. Okay, so this one is gonna be mostly colored yarn with maybe just a touch of white. So for measuring the smaller hoop, you just wanna like hold them together and pinch them at the top, because we're actually gonna be attaching them. But I want my smaller yarn to be longer than this one. This one's gonna get like a V cut kind of, and then I want this yarn to like hang down in front of that. So measuring, I want it to be a few inches longer. So it's about 46 inches long total. But feel free to do it however you want in terms of length, if you want it shorter or like angled or whatever. I'm just gonna cut some pieces and then I'll get started with my smaller hoop. Okay, so now I have all my pieces cut, I can start kind of filling out this ring. We want the same kind of situation in terms of filling up a third, but it's easier to do these separately and then tie them together than to like be fighting with the big one while you're trying to loop through the smaller one. So okay, so this is what my smaller hoop looks like. It's a lot of texture, mostly color with just one little piece of white to kind of tie it into the back one. And then this is what they are kind of starting to look like together. So you can see it's a lot going on, a lot of texture. So the next step is going to be to actually attach the two hoops together. I'm actually going to use some embroidery thread and just kind of wrap around the top. I have some yellow embroidery thread and I'm just taking the end and I'm first going to tie them together pretty tight. So I cut kind of a long piece and I'm just going to start wrapping around both my wires, taking it in and out. So when you're done wrapping, it's going to look like this. And then you're just gonna take and make a loop. So probably about this tall, maybe 4 to 6 inches tall, because you want room to thread your beads. And then you're just gonna tie this tail onto your loop. Once that's tight, you can cut it off, and then you can just string some of your beads on. I'm gonna put 2 striped beads and then a wooden bead. Okay, so now it's time to give it a little haircut. You can do this flat on your table, but I'm going to hang it up so you can see what I'm doing. So you can just kind of flip your top layer out of the way, so you don't cut it. I'm going for kind of like an angled look, so I'm just gonna trim that up with my scissors. So now it's looking a little more even at the bottom, and now I'm going to flip this down. And for the smaller hoop, I'm actually gonna trim it kind of the opposite way, so while the back is a little bit of a V, this one's gonna be a little bit of a point. One tip is that for this, you want the front one to be kind of cinched and kind of thinner than the back one, so you can see the back one through it. Okay, so then finally I just attached a little tassel that I made onto here just for a little more texture and to get one of the beads down here. You can just make an embroidery tassel and then slip a bead over the top loop, just like we did up here. Go watch episode number 1 if you need to know how to do that. Here's what it looks like up close. And then I will show you what it looks like hanging on a wall, because I feel like when it's moving you can't really see what it's supposed to be, but when it's on a wall and everything's kind of like straight, you can more see what it's supposed to look like. So I'm gonna go hang this up and then I can show you a picture. Okay, hang on, I'm coming. I just want her to be beautiful for her glamour shots. Thank thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure to like it, not just emotionally. Hit the like button, it's one click. And don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date with the rest of this series and all my other great ideas. And if you want to be friends on social media, you can find me at Never Skip Brunch, basically across every platform. You know what you should also do is follow me on Pinterest, because I pin all kinds of amazing things. I have boards for seasonal decor, boards for all my DIY ideas, and then boards for like my boho and bold decor, which is like my favorite style. So if you like my style at all, if you like my crazy colors and all that kind of fun stuff, then follow me on Pinterest and you won't have to go searching around for things you love because they'll just pop up in your feed. So don't forget to do that, because we could totally be Pinterest friends. We could just sit in our respective houses and pin the same things because we both like them, and that is an introvert's dream.